Let's move on because to the headline of the week, courtesy of the Washington Post, men who harass women online are quite literally losers. Yep, researchers from the University of New South Wales and Miami University watched how men treated women during 163 different plays of the video game Halo. And they discovered that men who were good at the game were nice to each other and nice to women who were also playing. But men who were less skilled at the game made frequent nasty comments, but only to the female gamers involved. As Caitlin Dewey writes in her piece, quote, in each of these environments, the researchers suggest a recent influx of female participants has disrupted a pre-existing social hierarchy. That's okay for the guys at the top, but for the guys at the bottom who stand to lose more status, that's very threatening. Katherine, what are your thoughts?
I thought that this was an excellent study and it adds a lot to the canon of growing research about online harassment. But at the same time, I also was a little troubled by how the researchers hung their argument on a reading of evolutionary theory that I don't think that the data actually supports. There's been a lot of adulatory coverage of what is in some sense a very funny study, right? Men who hate women are literally losers. The headlines do write themselves. But the study is based on this idea that this is an evolutionary trait that is built into humanity, this competition for status that must manifest in this very specific way. And there's not as much attention paid to why sexism is the field on which that contest for status is played out. It's presented as more natural than I think it really is. There are, I think, interaction effects certainly between our evolutionary lineage and our modern society that were ignored in terms of the causes for all of this.
Yeah, that's interesting. Emily, what do you think? There's particularly that idea of that, if it's implied that maybe it's somehow natural, it's also then implied that we should be forgiving of it slightly, and that isn't the case, right?
And this misunderstanding of what the research on non-human primates tells us about the way social hierarchies work. In Robert Sapolsky's research, he's shown that when you, for whatever reason socially, the structure turns into a matriarchy with baboons, the entire social structure becomes more peaceful and changes. We don't know how that works for humans because we don't have very much research on matriarchies in human societies, but it is not that we are innately one way or another. It's that we behave in a way that is facilitated by our context.
Yeah. Wagatwe, what do you think?
I found it really interesting because they're talking about a hierarchy, and these men, they are really bad at what they do, and for them to try and feel more manly and for them to feel like they are, more superior, they had to put women down. So it made me really think about toxic masculinity and like our definition of what manhood and what being dominant really means, and that we really need to talk about in our society that first of all, it's okay to lose to women. Like, losing sucks. I don't play Monopoly because I'm really bad at it. I don't like losing. But, I think we need to talk about it. It's okay to lose to women. And being aggressive is just not the way to be. We should stop sort of celebrating it as, a means to an end.
Yeah, and it reminds me of it when the US women's team won the World Cup, how at the time in the run-up there were so many men that were either disparaging the women playing, period, or disparaging the female game. And, it sort of smacks, as you say, that sort of toxic masculinity, which just doesn't need to be asserted. I think you're absolutely right.